A great thing that all gardeners can do is use floating row covers. And essentially, a floating row cover is just garden fabric that is draped over your plants. You can either use a little hoop house where the fabric goes over PVC pipe or whatever materials you choose, or you can just set that fabric directly on the plants to protect them from whatever it is you're wanting them for. So, floating row covers can help protect your warm season crops from the frost. They can help protect your cooler season crops from the sun, or they can protect your plants from any kind of insects, deer, rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, anything that may be infesting on your plants. And so it's a great thing to have in your garden for so many different reasons. And the different type of material will determine what use it's used for. So for example, I'm going to share my screen really quick and take you to a site that I really like. It's called the Bootstrap Farmer, and they have the fabric that's specifically made for insects. They have frost blankets that are used for the colder weather. They have the shade cloth that would be used in the warmer seasons to protect your crops from the sun. They also have these DIY hoop house kits if you choose to make a hoop house and not just drape that material directly on your plants. And they have great tutorials showing how to use the material. So in this picture right here, you can see this is just a mini hoop house that's in a garden bed, and it's super easy to design yourself. They have great tutorials on this site, and I'll link to all of this below. And you can just drape that material right over the plants. But you can also just put the material directly on the plants. You don't have to, you don't even really have to have the little hoops if you don't want to. And so if you're growing leafy veggies, root vegetables, or anything that's self-pollinating, you can leave that material on the plants the entire season. But if you are growing something like a squash or a cucumber that needs to be pollinated, you'll have to remove that cover so that it could get pollinated, or make sure you hand pollinate. But luckily for your fall vegetables, most everything is a root crop or a leafy vegetable anyways, and so you shouldn't really have any trouble, and you can leave those floating row covers on all season. And so the type of material you choose will just be based off of the purpose that you want it for. So they have the material specifically made for insects, specifically made for frost, and specifically made for protecting your plants from the sun. So just be sure to get the material that's the one that you want for whatever purpose it is that you need. But adding in these floating row covers to your garden can make such a huge difference and make the whole entire gardening season so much better, especially since it will protect your plants from the pests, and it will allow you to grow plants that may not typically grow in your area. For example, if you live in a really cold region, you could put frost blankets over your plants and extend that growing season, because you will create a warmer environment so those crops can grow before it gets way too cold. Or if you're in a really warm zone, you can protect your plants from the sun and keep it cooler for them for a longer time so that you can grow those cooler season crops in a warmer zone. So consider adding floating row covers into your garden, and you'll see such a huge benefit because it's a very cheap and inexpensive way to make a huge impact in your garden.